Magnus Carlsen lost to a 2500 Grandmaster, and this was happened last back in 2006 when he was a teenager, when he lost against a below 2550 rated player, and now this was the second time he lost against the around 2500 rated player in Qatar Masters in the very round 2. And he was playing with the black pieces, and his opponent's name was Alisher Suleymanov, and he lost. And his opponent played a brilliant game to defeat him in only 31 moves, which is a fantastic victory. So we are going to discuss this very game, a very interesting game, because crushing Magnus Carlsen in only 31 moves requires extreme good level of skills. So let's quickly check out the game, and it's going to be extremely fun to discuss. So now let's quickly check out the game. But before starting the video, if you are new to our channel, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. It is free for you, but it helps us to motivate you to make videos like this. So now let's quickly jump right into the game. Magnus Carlsen opponent is Alisher Suleymanov is playing with the white pieces, and Magnus Carlsen is playing with the black pieces. So Alisher started the game with 1d4. Magnus replied with knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, and we have b6, playing the queen's Indian. You can also play the move d5, which is a queen's gambit decline, and it is considered a very solid opening. So Magnus wanted to keep some imbalance in the position, which is very obvious. He's the highest rated player in the world. So he went for the move the queen's Indian defense to keep some imbalances on the board. b6, a3 by Suleymanov. The main move is to play the move g3, but Alisher decided to play the move a3, which is the second best move. Bishop to a6 by Magnus. Bishop to b7 is the main move, but okay. Queen to c2, defending the c4 pawn, and now playing the move bishop to b7. The idea of this bishop a6, bishop to b7 is that the queen on c2 is a bit misplaced compared to the queen on d1, because when the queen is on d1, there are some ideas of playing the move d5. But as the queen is on c2 now, the idea of d5 is pretty neglected. So now, after bishop to b7, Magnus played the move knight to c3. And here black played the move c5. If you see, if the queen would have been on d1, white was having the opportunity to push the pawn to d5, and the position would have been a very bad position for black. But as the queen is on c2, white can no longer play the move d5 as black will simply take it. So after c5, Alisher played the move e4, trying to control the center. Pawn takes, knight takes, and now bishop to c5. And after bishop c5, if I talk about some imbalances in the position, white is having a strong center, as you can see. He's having more space in the center, but at the same time, black is having lead in development, which is a huge factor. Knight to f3, knight to c6, b4, bishop e7, and now playing the move bishop to b2. So white has pushed his majority on the queen side, and he's also having some majority on the center as well. But Magnus is having a lead in development, which gives a good imbalance. Queen to b8 by Magnus Carlsen. And the idea of queen to b8 could be to short castle, put the rook on d8, and try to play the move d5. Rook to d1, short castle, bishop e2, d6. Short castle, and now we have the move rook to c8 by Magnus. So Magnus' idea is to play on the queen side, as he has gobbled up all his pieces on the queen side. So maybe he wants to punish Alisher for his queen side expansion, which can lead to some weaknesses. Rook to e1. So Alisher is playing very common chess. He's simply trying to develop all his pieces. And finally, after rook e1, he has successfully completed his development. So now the real game begins. So after rook e1, Magnus played the move bishop to f8. His idea could be to put the bishop on g7, and it's a good position. Bishop f1, and now playing the move knight to e7. So he was basically making a route for the knight to come on g6 maybe, as the therefore square looks a bit weak. Maybe the knight can jump to e5, trying to open up the bishop can be an idea, trying to open up the rook is an idea. So knight e7, knight to b5, hitting the pawn on d6, and now Magnus played the move knight to g7, knight to e8. Knight to g6 can also would have been a move, but I guess Magnus thought that after bishop takes pawn takes, his pawn structure is a bit ugly. But yeah, it is ugly a bit. After queen d2 attacking 3 times, you have to defend with rook d8, and yeah, the possession is no fun to play with the black pieces. But if black once opens up the center, it is going to be a good position as black is having the bishop pair. But Magnus decided to play the move knight to e8, keeping the maximum pieces on the board, and also trying to defend the d6 pawn, not giving the white opportunity to take on f6. And here, Alicia played the move knight to g5. After knight to g5, it looks like what's the idea of knight g5? If you try to play the move h6, which is the best move, there is this strong knight sacrifice after knight into f7, king into f7, e5, a very strong move by Alicia. If this would have been happening in the game, and after pawn takes, there is this bishop into e5, and you are losing the queen eventually, or some great materials. And if you won't take it, and if you try to push the pawn, simple queen h7 is a game over for black, as I can just, after for example, if pawn takes, simply bishop e2 followed by bishop h5, and the game is over. So these were the big issues that Magnus was facing, so he played the move knight to g6. As knight into f7 is not really working in this particular scenario, e5, that is hanging on h7. So Alicia played the move e5 instead. And e5 is a very strong move in the position, as at the first glance it looks like what happens if black takes the pawn. The point is, after bishop takes, you cannot capture with the queen because the queen would be hanging, and if you try to capture with the knight, it's a mate in 1. So that's the main issues Magnus was facing again. So he instantly played the move d5. And here Alicia again find the best move, the queen to b3, a very interesting idea. The idea is to simply do a queen lift, like from queen side to king side eventually, and trying to threatening mate in 1. And the point here is, if black tries to capture the pawn here, simply queen h3, h6, knight into f7, king into f7, queen h5, very strong move. And the point is, after bishop e7, something move like this, simple a rook lift. The idea is rook f4, you cannot capture as the knight is pinned, and eventually you lose the knight and the game is winning for white. So black played the move bishop to e7 by Magnus, and now Alicia simply sacrificed the knight. King takes, pawn takes. Bishop takes the pawn. Rook takes the bishop. Again, giving an exchange sacrifice, and eventually we land in this particular position, where after king f8, if we try to evaluate the points happening in the position, what's happening in the position, according to the, if I calculate the points, white is having 3 minor pieces, which black is also having, but white is having only a rook, where you can say Magnus is a whole rook up, but the position is completely lost. And after king f8, there is the strong move, knight to d4. And the idea is to give this knight to e6 check, and it is a very threatening move. After knight d4, Magnus played the move knight f4, trying to hit the queen, not allowing knight e6. So queen f3, and eventually Magnus lost knight. And eventually, so in this position, now Magnus is only an exchanger from being a rook up. So this position is also completely lost, as white is having bishop pair. The position is very open, the blacking is very very weak, and the piece on the queen side is not doing anything. So after queen to b4, queen into f4, Magnus played the move queen to b7, trying to take control of the 7th rank. But here comes the move knight to f5 by Alicia, and after knight f5, Magnus played the move b5, trying to cover the c4 square. Because if you try to play something move like a6, already bishop d3 is winning. It's already collapsing. We can push the pawn. We can try to put the queen over here, trying to threaten mates, ideas. And yeah, even bishop to c4 check is completely lost for Magnus, because he cannot capture the bishop, as he would lose the rook, and eventually it's lost position after king h8, queen f7, and the game is over. The bishop is hanging. So many things were happening. So Magnus played the move b5, trying to cover the c4 square, but bishop into b5. You can't capture the bishop, knight takes, and eventually it's a 2-move mate. So bishop to f8, and here comes the move bishop c4 check. You cannot capture as the same problem is hanging. So after king h8, Alicia played the move knight h6, and after knight h6, Magnus decides to resign the game. He decides to resign the game in only 31 moves. The answer is pretty clear, because if he tries to capture the knight, he's having a mate in 1. And if he tries to play the best move of queen e7, there is this knight f7 check, king g8, and after bishop b3, he can just move the knight anywhere, and he's having this check, and the game is lost. He can't do anything. So a crushing win by Alisher Solomonov against Magnus Carlsen. And after the game ended, at the night, he made a tweet on Twitter, or you can say X, where he told that his opponent was wearing a watch, an analog watch, not a digital watch, which was allowed, but it is not originally allowed in the books of FIDE, but it was allowed in Qatar Masters. So yeah, he was not feeling very comfortable when he saw his opponent wearing a watch. But yeah, he made a tweet like this, but okay, his opponent played a fantastic game to beat him. He also tweeted that as well, that his opponent played a brilliant game to beat him in just crushing win only in 31 moves. So this was a game where Magnus lost mercilessly. And yeah, this was the very exciting game to watch. So if you guys also like this fantastic move, make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel, because we are going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.